You asked for it. You got it. Advanced level Korean. On the grammar form, 봐 보면. You take a verb stem and you attach 봐 보면. That's all you have to do. You always just use the plain present tense verb stem. So if you have the verb 하다 to do, it's just 하. You do not ever use the past tense or future tense verb stem. You're not going to do like 하겠다 보면 or 했다 보면. Always just 하다 보면. What this form actually is it's a combination of the 다가 form with the verb 보다, to see, transformed into the if form as 보면. So literally, if someone continues to do something, so while doing something, something interrupts it or something happens while that's happening. And if you see that, and since it came from the 다가 form, you might also see 다가 보면, but it's much less common. So if we take 하다 보면, you're doing something, and while it's happening, it hasn't finished yet, but while it's happening, if you look at that, so like while doing something, if you take a step back and look, that's kind of the literal meaning that you get. In practical usage, it means if someone continues doing something, then something will happen. So if we say 하다 보면, if you're doing something and you take a look at what you're doing, you take a look at what's going on, then you'll notice that something. For example, A, verb, 다 보면, and then B is the rest of the sentence. So this means that if you do A, then the result will be B. Let's just say 요리하다, cooking. 요리하다 보면, so if you're cooking, well then the result will be, what do you think could be a result of if you're doing cooking? If you keep doing cooking, you'll get good at it. That sort of meaning. So if you do a lot of cooking, if you keep cooking, the result will be that you'll get good at it. So there are a couple ways that you can translate this very naturally as, which will probably help you to understand it. Let me give you two of those. Once you do something, or once you start. Now there is no word start in this grammar form, but it's a very natural way to translate it into English. Another way to translate is, if you keep doing something, once you start cooking, you'll get good at it. Or if you keep cooking, you'll get good at it. So again, if you do something, if you do A, the verb, the result will be B. There's another way to translate it that we're going to talk about a little bit later, and that is bound to. This is not the grammar form to translate the expression bound to into Korean, but it's a very good way to translate from Korean to English. This only works when you're translating Korean to English, not when you're trying to think about how to translate English back to Korean, because there's a different form you want to use for that. Only one more thing you need to know about this form. Just like the form 다가는, this form also cannot end in the past tense. If you have a sentence like A 다 보면 B, then the end of the sentence could not be 했어요. Past tense. It could not be past tense. Instead, you can make your sentence present tense or future tense. Why? Because if you keep doing something, the result will be, or the result is, that you died. It's talking about the future. If you're doing something, something happens, or something will happen, right? Not something happened. Or once you start cooking, you burned the food. Like, the tense doesn't match. Let's do our first example sentence. 매일 책을 읽다 보면 읽는 속도가 빨라질 거예요. 매일 책을 읽다 보면 읽는 속도가 빨라질 거예요. 매일, every day. 책, book, 읽다, to read. If you're reading every day, the result of that will be 읽는 속도. 속도 means speed. So you're reading speed. 빨라지다 comes from 빠르다, to be fast. 빨라지다, to get fast. So your reading speed will get fast. You'll get fast at reading if you're reading every day. If you keep reading books every day, your reading speed will get fast. 매일 책을 읽다 보면 읽는 속도가 빨라질 거예요. So you'll get faster at reading if you're reading every day. Once you're reading a book every day, then your reading speed is going to get faster. Once you start reading books every day, then you're bound to get faster at reading. That works too. Let's do another sentence. 계속 돈을 모으다 보면 이 집을 살 수 있을까요? 계속 돈을 모으다 보면 이 집을 살 수 있을까요? 계속, continually, 돈, money, 모으다. Literally to gather, but it means to save money. Not save as in to not use it. Like, oh, I'm saving my money. Saving as in I'm saving up. So if you keep saving your money, 이 집, this house. 살 수 있을까요? Will I be able to, or could I be able to buy this house if I keep saving up my money? 계속 돈을 모으다 보면 이 집을 살 수 있을까요? If I keep saving up my money, would I be able to buy this house? Well, not in this market. 계속 돈을 모으다 보면 이 집을 살 수 있을까요? Next sentence. 매운 음식. 매운, spicy, food. So even spicy food. 계속 먹다 보면. So if you keep eating spicy food, 안 맵게, not spicy, Adverb, 느껴지다. The food feels not spicy. So this literally means feel, but we would say taste. So it doesn't taste spicy anymore. 안 느껴질 거예요. So if you keep eating spicy food often, it won't taste spicy anymore. 매운 음식, spicy food. 계속 먹다 보면. So this is the important part of this sentence. 계속 먹다 보면. Once you start eating spicy food every day, it's not going to feel spicy anymore. Let's do another. 똑같은 일을 여러 번 반복하다 보면 꿈에서도 하게 되더라고요. 똑같은 일. The exact same job, the exact same task. 여러, several times. 반복하다 is to repeat something. And if you do that, well then, 꿈에서도, so in your dreams as well, 하게 되다. So you end up, 하게 되더라고요. You'll end up. 똑같은 일을 여러 번 반복하다 보면, so if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, 꿈에서도 하게 되더라고요. You'll end up doing it in your dreams too. 똑같은 일을 여러 번 반복하다 보면 꿈에서도 하게 되더라고요. This form can also translate to bound to. However, it's not idiotically. I was trying to say idiomatically. It doesn't translate idiomatically or literally as bound to. So if you want to learn how to say bound to normally in other sentences, please see this live stream, or you can look up this form, 마련이다, on your own. But when you're going from Korean to English, bound to will often be a natural thing you can add into the sentence. 아이들이 놀다 보면 싸울 수도 있죠. 아이들이 놀다 보면 싸울 수도 있죠. 아이들, children, 놀다, to play. So when kids get together to play, 싸우다, fight. 싸울 수도 있죠. Once kids start playing together, or, if kids keep playing together, they might fight. Yeah, I mean, it's makes sense, but it kind of misses, why even make this sentence? But when you translate it by adding bound to, it makes a lot more sense. It sounds more like a natural sentence that you would want to say. Kids are bound to get in fights when they play together. Sounds much more natural, right? Not just when kids play, they might fight. You remove this whole form entirely, you just get 놀면. So if kids play, they might fight. No, this form kind of adds that feeling of there's actually a result. 아이들이 놀다 보면, so if kids are playing together, well, they're bound to get in a fight. They're bound to fight. 싸울 수도 있죠. So you can see how this form adds a extra sort of nuance to the sentence that you wouldn't get if you were to just use the regular if form. I grew up with 3 other siblings. Yes, we fought. 계속 가다 보면 아는 길이 나오겠죠? So if you keep going, 계속 가다, well, the result will be, if you keep going, then what's going to end up happening is 아는 길, a road that you know, so a street that you recognize. 나오다, literally to come out. But if you say 나오다, it means to appear. Literally, there will appear a road that you know. There's going to be a street that you know if you keep going. If you keep going, there will be a street that you know. 계속 가다 보면 아는 길이 나오겠죠? 바지를 입다 보면 늘어날 거라고 했는데 아직도 너무 불편해요. If you wear pants, that's all I know. If you wear pants, you can go into most stores. 바지를 입다 보면, so once you start wearing pants, it's probably not a good translation for this, right? 바지를 입다 보면, no, this would sound better as, if you keep wearing pants, 늘어나다 is to stretch out. So 늘어날 거라고 했는데, now this is a quoting form. You said, or they said, they will stretch out if you keep wearing them. 바지를 입다 보면 늘어날 거라고 했는데, they said that if I wear these pants, they're going to stretch out. 아직도, still, 너무, too much, too. 불편하다 is to be uncomfortable. 아직도 너무 불편해요. But they're still too uncomfortable. So they said that if I keep wearing these pants, they're going to stretch out, but they're still too uncomfortable. 바지를 입다 보면 늘어날 거라고 했는데 아직도 너무 불편해요. There's a little more we can talk about if we compare this with other forms. What's the difference between 타보면 and 타가는? Because both of these can translate as if you keep. The first major difference is that 타보면 is just for any result. So it doesn't have to be negative. 타가는, however, is typically for a negative result. So because of that, it's more often used for warning someone. Hey, if you keep doing that. We also learned that 타보면 is always the regular present tense stem. So if you have the verb 하다, it's always 하다 보면. 타가는, however, though, can use the past tense. So you can have 하다가는, or you can have 했다가는. What's the difference? Please watch the live stream that I already taught about this. It works in a different way. Let me give you an example sentence using both of these forms so you can kind of see what I mean. 계속 굶다 보면 살이 빠질 것 같아요. 계속. So if you keep, 굶다 is to starve. So if you keep starving yourself, 살이 빠질 것 같아요. I think you're going to lose weight if you keep starving yourself. Or if you keep starving yourself, you're bound to lose weight. Versus 계속 굶다가는 건강을 해칠 거예요. So if you keep starving yourself, you're going to hurt your health. You're going to damage your health. It's bad for you, right? You're warning them. You're going to hurt yourself if you keep starving yourself like that. There's another grammar form that is often compared with 타보면. If we want to learn about this form, I would have to do a full live stream about this form. There's actually a lot we could talk about, and there would be a lot of example sentences I would want to show. This is just a quick overview of how they are different. 하다 보면 or 하다 보니까. Now, the ka is optional, so you might also hear 하다 보니. This form is different in that it means after the subject, so whoever's saying this, does an action for a while. So after they've done an action, then they realize something. So instead of just showing this is the result of something, this form focuses on someone realizing something. So these forms have very different uses, although they look like they could be the same type of thing. I'm just going to give you 2 quick ways you can translate this form. The translation for this form will depend on whether you're using it with an action verb or a descriptive verb. How you can translate this with an action verb, you can translate it as, I did something and before I knew it, so you're realizing something. 요리하다 보니까, and before I knew it, I was making good food. Something like that. Or another way to translate it is simply, and after. So, and after cooking, then I realized something. So this one's focused more on the realization, and this one's more about the result. With descriptive verbs, it has a completely different translation. So you're still realizing something, but instead of an action, you're talking about a state. With the descriptive verb, here's how you can translate it. Seeing as. So seeing as that person's a Korean teacher, they should know what they're talking about. Given that the person over there is a Korean teacher, they should speak good Korean. Or even just because, or since. You know, since that person's a Korean teacher, they should speak Korean well. Seeing as, given that. Also, you can end a sentence with past tense with this form. Totally okay. That is our lesson today. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.